Well, hello there. You're probably here to watch me answer some questions. I don't know if I'm into it today. I don't know if I'm feeling it. I'm just playing around with you. If you have a question, though, please feel free to leave them down below in the comments. Or if you want to be anonymous, go ahead and hit up my Ask FM thing in the doobly-doo down below. First question.
You have probably got this question before, but what is your favorite amp brand? Or maybe even favorite amp/model? Great vids, BTW.
I don't know if I could nail down just one favorite amp, but the classics are definitely in there, or in the top 5, I guess. The the PV5150, the 2-channel Mesa Boogie Dual Rectifier. Many years ago, I got to record on a very, very, very early Soldano SLO100 that was owned by Howard Leese from the band Heart. That was an unbelievable amp. And I would also have to throw the Rhodes Gemini in there. That was such an amazing amp, and mine is going to be built very soon and sent to me for me to... You don't want to know.
Hey Fluff, I'm just starting to mix and master, and frankly I can't afford plugins and stuff. Is there any free stuff you would recommend? I know I can use the DAW effects, but just want to expand a little more. Thanks!
If you were just starting to mix and master, I would not recommend any plugins. Force yourself to use the stock plugins. I've said this in other videos, but when I started, I didn't know other plugins existed, and I thought you got the cool plugins by upgrading to Pro Tools or something like that. As naive as that sounds. But looking back, what that did is that forced me to learn how to use the tools at hand, and I think that is a very important thing that a lot of people may skip over or not have. So I would not recommend any plugins for you, sir. I would recommend boning up and learning everything you can and how to achieve what you want to achieve within your DAW. You'll be good for it.
What advice would you give to a musician who wants to grow their YouTube channel audience?
That depends on what kind of channel you want to be. You need to ask yourself, do you want to put out regular content? Do you want to put out semi-regular content? Do you want to put out every once in a while as you feel it? Regular content is king, though. You should know that. And B, you have to be able to one-up the previous guy, or at least offer something unique that no one else is doing. For me, it's the format and my, I guess I've been told it's my video editing style. I don't just play music anymore and then leave it at that. I actually give an opinion, and I include the playthrough, which all used to be separate videos many years ago. But now it's a 3-segment video, and it's informative, and no one else is doing that. So that's my advantage. But you have to come up with an advantage that you think will, put your flag up so people can see you, as opposed to just being the same old as everybody else, because there's always going to be someone that is way better than you. And just putting out regular content. I would highly recommend not putting out a super awesome badass production video and then an iPhone video making funny faces and then another video of your dog. At least be consistent. If you want to do that kind of stuff, make a second channel, but have the main channel as, a focused thing. Don't just randomly put up stuff. Be regular, good content, and they will come eventually. It may take a while, though.
Are there any albums that you've been astounded with production-wise? Name them if there are.
Yeah, there's a few. The newest one being the new Architects record. The production and the mix for metal is something that I would strive for and do strive for. That would be my ideal metal mix. Man, unbelievable album. Crank up the song Broken Crosses and listen to that low end during the verse with the bass guitar. Wow. Second that comes to mind is probably Steely Dan's Asia. Mind-blowingly good album that still holds up today, even though it was recorded in the late 70s. And that was back when the entire band had to get on the mixing console and bring their tracks up and down throughout the entire song, and that's what would be put to tape. Mind-blowing. And the third would probably be Daft Punk's Random Access Memories, and that album is so crisp and clean, and it's just so good.
Which tube amp or amp in general disappointed you the most?
That is an easy answer, and the answer to that question, sir, is the Frameless Cobra. I hate that amp. that amp sounded absolutely atrocious. And the thing that bugged me the most about it was the clean channel. The clean channel volume was so deafening that you could blow on it and it would be too loud. But the dirty channels you would have to put at max just to even get to band volume. What is up with that? And I know you're gonna say, well, maybe there's something wrong with the amp. Well, as a result of how I found it, I changed out the tubes, and then my buddy who loaned me the amp, which was used in this video, he even took it to a tube shop or a repair shop, and it got a clean bill of health. So that amp is horrible sounding.
Dual tracking versus quad tracking guitars. Pros and cons of each.
Dual tracking is something I do, I don't know, 98% of the time. There are a few songs that actually really call for quad tracking, and that is to thicken it up, or if that's a sound that you have in your head. And it usually turns out to be, well, I need to quad track the rhythms. Now, what I am a huge fan of is dual miking a dual tracked song. So you have a total of 4 different tracks for the guitars, and that tends to thicken things up really nicely. But keeping things tight with quad tracking, you have a very high risk of losing some definition in the notes and the playing because you're layering 4 individual different tracks on top of each other. Now, if you can nail it, sounds huge. If you don't nail it, doesn't sound huge. And you have to worry about phase problems if you're actually miking a cab. The Fire Breather EP, I did quad tracking on the rhythm guitars, and 5 minutes into it, I super regretted it, but it was something I really wanted to prove to myself that I could do. But generally speaking, I'm a huge fan of double tracking. I like how it sounds. It's crispy. And if I want to thicken things up, like I said, I'll just use more mics. At any rate, we got to get out of here, guys. It's been fun. Again, my name is Fluff. If you have a question, leave them down below. And until next time, I will see you later.